All right. Well, if he showed up now, I know I'm a couple minutes late. The thumbnail was too big of a file. So, apologies on that. But yes, I will start showing you my screen now. There you go. You can look at the results for a minute. And then once I get this all posted and whatnot, then I will show my face and we will talk about the championship weekend. So that should be fun. But everyone, let me know what your thoughts were on the championship. Show up in the comments. Hello, David. I see you in there. Let me know what your thoughts were on the championships this weekend, all three. But, wild times in NASCAR. What's up in between the lanes? And almost done, I promise. All right. And all right, there we go. Okay. All right. I think we are good. I think, emphasis on think. This always takes me a couple minutes. Oh my. Okay. Hold on. 30 seconds. But what we're going to do this live stream, I guess I can explain that while I figure this out. What we're going to do is we are going to do our normal. We're going to talk about the weekend, talk about what people liked, what they didn't like. Everyone, of course, I want you to share your opinions. Love hearing the opinions of NASCAR fans. And then instead of Monday picks, of course, we don't have Monday pick. We might pick the Clash. I don't know. It'll be a quick segment, if anything. All right. I think I went the right direction that time. Cool. But yes, instead, we are going to actually scroll through these results right here, and we are going to talk about the lasts, whether it's a driver's last race like Martin Truex Jr., whether it's a sponsor like FedEx, which who was in between the lanes mentioned there, whether it's a team like Stewart-Haas. We're going to go through every single last. Since last night I talked so long about the playoffs, Logano winning the championship, we're going to do that tonight since we have the Monday after to kind of lean on. As a sense of whatever I forget, whatever I don't talk about on Sunday night, that's why we have this Monday after live stream. So anything I miss, I can come on here and use it as a crutch for my forgetfulness from Sunday night, which I'm very appreciative of you all for watching, because if I didn't get good numbers in a sense, or if no one watched, then it would just be me talking to myself, which I guess I do a lot of. So, but Clausen Z, what am I going to do now? NASCAR's over. F1 still has 3 more races. Supercars, they got the Adelaide 500 coming up. I'm looking into watching that, doing a live stream on that. I just got to finalize the details. That's another thing we'll do in this live stream. I'll make some announcements in terms of live streams that we'll do in the next week or so. FedEx is leaving NASCAR. Yeah. Kyle Busch Street. Yeah, let's just get straight into it. So we talked about these championship 4 guys. We've talked about them. We talked about Logano. We talked about Blaney, Byron. We've talked about Larson, Season, Bell, Reddick, Bubba, Chase Elliott, Buescher, Suarez, Hamlin. Here's the first one we're going to hit. Denny Hamlin's last ever race with FedEx on the car. This is a big deal, obviously. It's been rumored, reported for months that FedEx is going to be leaving NASCAR, or at least they've already reduced their numbers of races that they do a lot. But it was finally getting to the point where the reports were coming in that FedEx was going to leave NASCAR, leave Joe Gibbs Racing altogether. Yesterday basically confirmed that. Denny Hamlin, he posted a video, a tribute video in a sense to Denny, or not to Denny Hamlin, not to himself, but a tribute to FedEx, saying thank you for all the years. Thank you for being there for the goods, for the bads, for everything in between. Thank you for supporting our team, and thank you for, being great friends, because obviously FedEx executives, FedEx people are there with them at the track at times. So Denny Hamlin, over the last 20 or so years, got to know FedEx. Joe Gibbs Racing got to know FedEx. And on the flip side, FedEx got to know Joe Gibbs Racing, Denny Hamlin, how NASCAR works. And it's been an iconic branding partnership. You can't deny it. If you like Denny Hamlin, you don't like Denny Hamlin, you can't deny that it was an iconic brand team driver combination. That number 11 FedEx car, whether it was like this last few years and it was just the white, purple, and orange, whether it was when they would alternate the schemes and FedEx Office was blue, FedEx Express was green, FedEx Freight was red, FedEx Express was orange, or whether it was one of the throwback schemes that FedEx did, or whether it was one of the one-offs that they did. FedEx always is going to be known as Denny Hamlin's sponsor. It's tough to see them go, but thankful for everything that they've done in NASCAR, for Denny Hamlin, for Joe Gibbs Racing. I know a lot of people don't like Denny Hamlin, Joe Gibbs Racing, but you can't deny that the impact that they have had in a sense in NASCAR. So that's the first one we are going to hit there, or that was the first. Back to the comments for a minute before we go to our next last. Kyle Busch's streak ended. Yes, we will hit that as well. Paint schemes in between the lanes. Last time you're going to ask this season. Favorite paint schemes. The Truex throwback was great. Jimmy Johnson's 84. It may have run 26th on the track, but it was a beautiful, beautiful paint scheme. Looking at some of the other paint schemes, trying to mentally. Austin Dillon, that camo, of course, today is Veterans Day. So thankful for our veterans, obviously, as well. But that was a really cool paint scheme, the camo kind of paint scheme. Byron bringing the Exalta scheme back for one more race. I know they only ran it twice this year, but what are you going to do? I will say, on the flip side, I'm very disappointed in Stewart-Haas Racing. That will be our next goodbye, our next thank you, by the way. But Stewart-Haas Racing did not do any throwback paint schemes this weekend. I found that massively disappointing. This is a team, I know they are not that old. This isn't like a Hendrick or an RCR or a Petty shutting down, but this is a team that's won championships, won a ton of races. I thought they would do some sort of throwback this weekend with either the 4 or the 14, but we got Texas A&M University, and Mahindra Tractors kind of looks like the Office Depot car, but it was just their primary scheme. So, wish they did something, but yeah, a little bit disappointed. But we'll talk about them in a minute. I get to watch SVG in a New Zealand Sprint Car Series in December right here in my hometown. That's really cool. Yeah, I saw an interview that SVG said he's going to spend some time in Charlotte before going back to New Zealand for a month or so. Going to do a bunch of racing down there. It's the summer down there in New Zealand. So, yeah, should be fun for him, I hope. Get some time off, get some time back home. Not sure if he's homesick. But sure, he's going to be comfortable right at home. Can't wait. Did I miss anything? Icy said, can't wait to see more of the new 2025 schemes for trucks, Xfinity, and Cup. Yes, we don't do all the paint schemes on here. We usually wait till 2025. There's a couple of exceptions. Like, I know a lot of people care about SVG that watch this channel, so I may do something whenever those get released. We already did one with the WeatherTech, but yeah, we'll do a paint scheme preview in January. We usually do 3 or 4 videos between January and the Daytona 500 of paint scheme previews, paint scheme ratings, and yeah, you're going to have to wait till literal calendar 2025 for those. 3 end of eras this week. Martin Truex Jr. leaving, FedEx leaving, SHR shutting down. Yeah, once again, we'll hit some of those. We already hit the FedEx one. It's too bad Denny couldn't win FedEx a championship. He did, however, get them plenty of airtime, good and bad. Yeah, Patty, as you said, good and bad. 3 Daytona 500s, a Coke 600 in there. I don't think FedEx was ever on his car when he won Southern 500s, but they were on the side of the car. I mean, he's won about everything with FedEx. It's a really big deal that they're leaving. So, yeah, good and bad. And obviously the fight with Chase, or not the fight, but the incident with Chase Elliott, incident with Joey Logano, the 2010 championship is the most remembered, I would say, in terms of a choke or losing a championship. But, yeah. Get me today! Exclamation point. Tech says, looking forward to next year. Bowman and Byron will go winless, and one will miss the playoffs. Elliott and Larson win for a piece. Byron going winless, I'd say that's really bold. I'd argue the same for Bowman, too. I know some people are a little bit lower on Bowman than I am, but Byron going winless, I know he's on a bit of a winless streak right now, but that is a bold prediction. Bubba did have a great paint scheme. Cloudy Blade 341. I forgot to mention that. The Star Wars Darth Vader paint scheme was very cool. 15 winners next year, including 5 upset winners. I have not thought that far ahead in 2025. I had a Toyota sweep predicted, did not go well. Next season will be 2022 all over again. William Byron Vinge 25. Who picked Logano? Marty, NASCAR Fan 93 100. What's up? Denver, what's up? Michael. Once I get through Michael's comment here, we're going to go back to our last. If you don't know what we're doing, we're going through the finishing results, and anything that's a last, we're doing a farewell, thank you, whatever, just kind of recapping their time in NASCAR, whether it's a driver, a team, a sponsor. We already did Denny Hamlin and FedEx. Denver says NASCAR needs to review the playoff system because it doesn't reward top 4 drivers enough. Yeah, I was getting a lot of comments yesterday. A lot of people seem to think that I was just mad that Joey Logano won the championship. That is not the case. It could have been Ross Chastain, Austin Cindric, Austin Dillon, Josh Berry, Kyle Larson, Brad Keselowski, Justin Haley, Kyle Busch, Chase Elliott, Noah Gragson, Denny Hamlin, Ryan Blaney, you name the driver. Numbers 00 through 99. You name it, I would have been upset that a driver with 7 top 5s, averaging a 17th place finish, won the championship. It didn't matter who it was, but a lot of people were coming at me saying, you're a Logano hater, suck it, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, okay, guys, I want to defend myself here. It's not a Joey Logano thing. I hate the system. If you've watched me for a while on here, you know I've always hated the system. Ever since that first year when Ryan Newman, with like 6 top 5s on the season, no wins, made the Final 4 over Jeff Gordon, who led the points all year, Keselowski, who had 6 or 7 wins, and Dale Jr., who was second in the points all year. It's never made sense. I've never liked it. I never will like it. I pray. I don't think they'll ever fully go away from an elimination system, but I pray they make an adjustment. This is a bad look. It truly is. And look, on the flip side of it, Joey Logano and that team, they did everything they were supposed to do. They played the system to perfection, as they always do. Joey Logano yesterday, I said it in the video, he drove masterfully. He did a great job. You don't lead, I'm on the wrong screen here and I scrolled wrong. You don't lead 107 laps out of 312 on accident. That's not a fluke. Joey Logano deserved to win that race yesterday. He deserved to get a trophy yesterday. And he's the 2024 champion. You can't dispute it. We had this system, we knew it was in place, and he is the champion. I am simply questioning, why does this system exist? Why do we have it? Why is there a system in racing that rewards someone with an average finish of 17th? A guy who has less top 10s, than other people have top 5s. Why are we rewarding that? That is all. That's how I feel about the system. You're not going to change my mind on it. I'm very, very feet dug in the ground, or whatever that saying is. That's how I feel about the system. And I know some people like it. And guess what? You're allowed to like it. You're allowed to have an opinion. You're allowed to say, you know what? I love the randomness of it. I love the chaos of the playoffs. And to you, I say, all right, you're allowed to have that opinion. I disagree with you, but you're allowed to have that opinion. That's just how I feel about it. Michael says, Boxing Day, Western Springs, Auckland, New Zealand, midget, sprint cars, SVG, and probably a few Americans. Kyle Larson has been down for it in the past months, maybe again this year. Be there if you can. If you're talking to me, New Zealand is quite far away from me. If I win the lottery, I will be there. All right, but unfortunately, those odds are not in my favor, so don't bank on it. But, Kyle Larson's going to Australia at the end of the calendar year, so that should be exciting. Going to miss Truex, even though he'll be at the 500. Yeah, we'll talk about him in a minute. Joey Logano had as many top 20s as Tyler Reddick and William Byron had top 10s, which is 21. Once again, Don't you just love this format? Driving me crazy, man. Both RCR cars will be good next season. They heated up in the second half of the year. It depends on what big changes they make. They've talked about these big changes in the offseason and what's going to happen. Well, what are those big changes? I really don't care. He's a race car driver. What he did, he was supposed to do. Yeah, I mean, Cloudy 341 Blade, once again, I mean, Joey Logano did nothing wrong himself. He's supposed to try to win every race. He's supposed to try to win the championship, whether it's the full season format, the 10-driver chase, the 12-driver chase, or if it's the elimination format. As a driver and a team, you're supposed to try to go win every single trophy that's possible. It doesn't matter. It could have been Harrison Burton on this Joey Logano run and averaged a 28th place finish. That's the goal. Your goal is to go win races and championships. Joey Logano, Paul Wolf, the 22 team did nothing wrong. I am looking at NASCAR and their system. Joey Logano and the 22 team, congratulations to them. They did nothing wrong. They did what they were supposed to. They had a hell of a race yesterday. I'm mad at the system. Yeah, I think I made that clear. All right, our next goodbye, our next farewell, we just did Denny Hamlin and FedEx. Noah Gragson in 12th. Noah Gragson himself will be in NASCAR next year, but Stewart-Haas Racing. Stewart-Haas Racing, a 4-car operation going from 4 cars to shutting down in the span of a year. This team has made an impact on NASCAR. I said it last night. I did like a 30-minute just kind of bleh. But today I wanted to be a little bit more heartfelt, a little bit more thorough in my explanation because this team has done a lot in NASCAR. They've won multiple championships. In fact, they won the first ever elimination format in 2014 when Kevin Harvick won the championship. They won a championship with Tony Stewart in 2011, and that is a very heavily remembered championship because of the run that Tony Stewart went on that year. They won a Daytona 500 with Kurt Busch. They won the Southern 500 with Harvick. Did they win the Coke 600? They won the Brickyard 400 with Harvick multiple times, including back-to-back in 19 and 20. They've won at short tracks, intermediates, super speedways, you name it, Stewart-Haas Racing won it. This team, though only a short history, about a decade and a half, 15 or so years, this team made an impact on NASCAR. They had a big operation. They had big names that were owning the team. They had big names in the shop, whether it was Rodney Childers, the crew chief, whether it was Kevin Harvick, the driver, Tony Stewart, the driver. They made NASCAR history with what they did. And I honestly find it fitting that their last win in NASCAR was a crown jewel. They won a Southern 500 with Chase Briscoe this past September. And the circumstance was they had to win that race with any one of their 4 cars, or in their final season, they would not have made the playoffs. And realistically, they would have not won a race because they would have gotten cut off from Ford. So Chase Briscoe winning the Southern 500 got them one more win, got them one more playoff appearance. And Chase Briscoe will go down as the final winner in Stewart-Haas Racing history. I know the end was not pretty. We can't talk about Stewart-Haas Racing without that. But when we look at the highs, I mean, there were some very big highs. Daytona 500s, championships, Southern 500s, you name it. Stewart-Haas Racing did it. It's unfortunate that they're shutting down for sure, but Stewart-Haas Racing made an impact on NASCAR. There's no other way to put it. And Haas Factory team next year, it's going to be a different setup. It's going to be a different team. I know Gene Haas is still the owner. There's going to be some of the same people there, but they made a massive impact on NASCAR. They for a couple years there, they were the best NASCAR team. 2018 is what I look at. When Harvick won 8 or 9 races, Boyer won 3 or 4, Almirola won 1, and Kurt Busch won a couple. I mean, 2018 and I think 2017, they were the best team, arguably. So it's very impressive to go to the top like they did. It's unfortunate that they're shutting down, but thank you to Stewart-Haas Racing for the memories that they created for fans in NASCAR. In fact, one memory I will always hold with me is that I was at their final Cup win. That will never leave me because that was the first crown jewel I ever went to, first crown jewel I ever covered, and it was Stewart-Haas's last victory. So Yeah, I would love to hear everyone's favorite Stewart-Haas memory because there are a lot of them. But as we go down here, and looks like our next one will be Truex. But before we get to Truex, let's read a few comments here because I got a Truex hat over here, and obviously I'm wearing the Stewart-Haas hat today. I had to get a hat this year since they were going out of business. I think they have a sale on their website, but um, still, I wanted to get it at the track. I wanted to get it. I think I got it at Atlanta. Yeah, it was Atlanta. If we really think about this, Matt Kenseth is to blame. Yeah, I don't. So why? Here's the thing. I was 3 years old at the time. You got to give me a break. Why was everyone so mad that Matt Kenseth won the championship? Like, is it simply because he only won a single race all year? Is that really why everyone was so mad? Like, he was the best driver, most consistent driver all year, but because he only won one race, like, it was just outrageous. Like, Jeff Gordon only won 4 races, I think, in 2001 when he won a championship. Is that really as... all right. If that's really... I just don't get it, man. I don't get why they overreacted to one season. And they're going to do it again, I hope, but this would actually be trending back towards a good thing. Stewart-Haas Racing's only Daytona 500 was 2017 with Kurt Busch. Well, yeah, because Harvick only had the one, and that was when he was at RCR. Stewart never won one. Almirola got pretty damn close, but he got wrecked. So... Stewart-Haas Racing also won. That's right. I forgot about that Brickyard 400 with Ryan Newman. Him and Jimmy Johnson ran 1-2 all day long. I think it came down to the last pit stop, the green flag pit stop. And Ryan Newman, I think he's an Indiana native, so that was a really big deal for him. But yeah, I forgot about that. Ryan Newman, the 2013 Brickyard 400, that was when he was with Stewart-Haas Racing. So add that to the accolades of Stewart-Haas. Stewart was obnoxious during that 2011 championship. He caused Edwards to take his steering wheel and go home. It was an impressive run for Tony, though. Yeah, and that's the thing, is that as much as I hate the playoffs, the chase, I hate all that stuff, I won't deny that it does create excitement. The Hail Melon, Stewart's 2011 run. I mean, Tony Stewart would have been nowhere in the championship picture if it wasn't for the chase resetting the points and him winning 6 of the last 10 races or whatever it was. So, yeah. Very impressive championship. Icy says, my favorite was back in 2020, Briscoe versus Kyle Busch in the Xfinity Series. Yeah, that was a crazy I mean, just the circumstances. It was the first race back from COVID for Xfinity, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong there. Chase Briscoe's wife had just had a miscarriage, so he was super emotional. A super big weekend, and he had Kyle Busch, a 2-time Cup Series champion, breathing down his neck. Arguably the best... Okay, I'll definitively say it. The greatest Xfinity Series racer of all time, and Joe Gibbs Racing Equipment right on his butt for the last few laps, and Briscoe was able to hold him off. Yeah, that's for sure. That was a huge win for Briscoe for his career. I know he won a ton of races that year in the Xfinity Series. I think he won like 9 races, but that one was just above all the others, if you ask me. Austin Dillon and Kyle Busch make the playoffs next year. I'm telling you, I'm curious to see the changes that RCR makes over the offseason. I don't know what they're going to do, but they've been talking about it, and I'm curious. Cloudy 341 Blade, that's because Matt Kenseth was the most boring champion ever. He didn't achieve much after. Well, that's the thing. Is Kenseth achieved a good bit. He won 30 races in his career. He had a 5 or 6 win season with Joe Gibbs Racing. He about won the championship in 2013. I mean, Matt Kenseth had a very successful career outside that 2003 season. I don't think that can be denied. So to say he didn't achieve much after, I think that's a very, very, very much of an understatement. Denver says, my NASCAR system is 20-car playoffs. Top 2 automatically pass to the championship round. 3rd and 4th to the 8. 5th through 13th to the 16. And a wild card at Daytona for 14. Oh. if we start putting a wild card at Daytona, it's going to get a little freaky. I see what you do. I saw Eric Estep's video today of his playoff format, and I will admit it's better than what we have. But I once again, I just don't think I'm ever going to be a fan of the elimination format. We got to get rid of the one race takes all. I think we got to reward the regular season champion more. I think it should be a bigger number. I think if you win the regular season championship, it should be 25 points. And I know our regular season champion made it to the Final Four this year, but I think it should be 25 for first, 15 for second, 10 for third, and then you can drop 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I think it should be a bigger number for the top three. That's just me, though. Marty says, first year watcher, I never knew how much of a NASCAR follow. Yeah, no, it's insane. NASCAR runs the motorsports in this country in terms of the viewership. Obviously, we got 3 F1 races here now. IndyCar goes across the country, but neither of them compared to NASCAR in terms of the viewership, in terms of the attendance. NASCAR is king in the United States. It's truly a religion to some people. I guess I would be included in that because it's my life. But no, the amount of people who love NASCAR is insane. We have a passionate, dedicated fan base that, I mean, just look at the last 2 weeks. Even in the negativity, even in the uproar, it is one of the most dedicated fan bases on the planet because we care. That's what I would argue. But it truly is insane, the NASCAR fan base. If you ever get a chance to come over here to the United States and go to a race, please do. It is a unique experience. That's all I'll say. If you're looking for the most unique experience, a cultural experience, go to Talladega. If you do not want to quite have so much culture shock and just like have to stop in your tracks every 5 minutes, if you want to go to a more tame race, let's see. You could go to Texas. Texas is pretty... I think Texas is pretty normal. I've been growing up. I mean, regardless of where you go, you're going to see some crazy NASCAR stuff that you're going to be like, whoa, that's wild. Like just, the dedication of the fans, the passion, like you're just going to see some insane stuff. But Talladega, if you want to see the most chaos, go there. The reason everyone got mad is it made the season boring for some fans. Okay, but here's the thing. Patty, this isn't at you, Patty, but champions clinch the championship early all the time. I mean, every once in a while we get a championship fight that goes down to the last race, but that's what makes it so special. It was natural. It happened naturally. Everyone talks about 1992. Davey Allison, Bill Elliott, and Alan Kulwicki, 3 guys with a chance at the title after 32 races back in that era? 32 race season, and it comes down to 1 race between 3 different drivers? That's insanity. Technically, you could say, well, now, every year, it's 36 races, and we have 4 guys. Well, because it's forced that way. It's not as special when it's forced that way. If it played out naturally this year, I think we would have had a title fight with Elliott, Bell, and Larson having a shot at the title this year. In our current point system, Larson won it, but in the Winston point system, Bell won it. Which, that makes it double as exciting, by the way, if you ask me. Best SHR moment was Harvick getting... Here's what I still don't understand about that Harvick-Elliott feud. Cloudy 341 Blade. Elliott had a right to be mad because he got a tire cut while fighting for the lead. Both of them advanced in the playoffs. So, and there was 5 playoff points on the line, yes. And a race win, the Bristol night race is a big deal. But my question is, why was Harvick so mad at Elliott holding him up? And then after the race, Harvick says, I would have rather had him intentionally wreck me? That made no sense to me. Like, you would rather have a guy attempt to hurt you than just have you finish second. That made no sense to me. That will never make sense until Harvick fully explains his logic, but all right, man. All right, let's do. I'm just gonna accept that I'm gonna be behind on comments tonight. So Cloudy341 Blade talking about Bristol 2021. I will go back to that in a minute. But we're doing our next farewell. It's to Martin Truex. Well, first Harrison Burton, his last race with Stewart-Haas, or not Stewart-Haas, with the Wood brothers. Harrison Burton got them their 100th win. He will forever be known for that, getting them their 100th win. He got them in the playoffs, by the way. That's another thing. But the 100th win is going to be, it's forever going to be remembered. He got the Wood brothers, one of the most iconic and historic teams in NASCAR, their 100th win at one of NASCAR's most iconic and historic tracks. It was a insanely feel-good story. Harrison Burton, the son of Jeff Burton, he struggled in Cup. He struggled at the Wood brothers. And right after he figures out that he's not going to be there anymore, he wins a race. And he wins it in thrilling fashion. He had to beat Kyle Busch to win his first ever race. Yeah, I mean, what a story for Harrison Burton. But now we move on to our next one. That's Martin Truex Jr. Martin Truex Jr. Fun fact. I've told this story on the channel before, so if you're hearing this again for the second time, apologies, but the timing is convenient. Back in 2010, I was a NASCAR fan, and I got this Martin Truex Jr. You can't really see it, but it's signed there. The story behind this hat right here is in 2010, I'm 10 years old. I'm getting into NASCAR for the first time, and we go to the State Fair of Texas. In the State Fair of Texas, they have this Toyota area, and they have a NASCAR trivia session, and I was like, oh yeah, like 10-year-old me, I'm way too obsessed with NASCAR. I could own some bozos. I went up there, and I owned some bozos, and they were asking basic questions. They were like, name 3 Toyota drivers. And at the time, I was like, Kyle Busch, Martin Truex Jr., Denny Hamlin. Like, it was the easiest answers for me. But if you don't watch NASCAR, you don't know what I'm saying. But anyways, the lady at Toyota was so blown away by my 10-year-old genius of knowing NASCAR drivers that she said, come out to the race. I'll have you meet a driver. So, cool. We went out to the race. My dad and I, we went to the race. Went to the Toyota stage, met her up, and she says, okay, we got a driver. You're going to meet Martin Truex Jr. Go to one of the haulers, pick up this hat because we knew Truex was 56. And, yeah, that was the first NASCAR driver I met. Martin Truex Jr., met him behind the Toyota stage. I don't remember all of it. I was 10 years old. I was like, oh, my God, it's a NASCAR driver standing next to me. But Martin Truex Jr., I remember him being nice, shook hands, took a picture with me. But yeah, Martin Truex Jr. will be the first NASCAR driver I met, and then also just the impact he's had on NASCAR itself. He's a Cup Series champion. That championship in 2017 is going to be one of the most remembered championships of all time because of who it was with. He won it with Furniture Row Racing, an independent team out of Denver, Colorado, and Martin Truex Jr., who had bounced around from DEI to Michael Waltrip Racing, then suddenly ends up at Furniture Row. They have a horrendous first year together. In 2014, I think they finished like 28th in the points. I could be wrong on that. But then 2015, Cole Pearn shows up, flips the switch. They win a race at Pocono. They make the Final Four. 2016, it further escalates. The single most dominant performance in NASCAR history, leads 392 out of 400 laps at the Coke 600. They win 4 races that year, I think. They don't win the championship, but then 2017, they couldn't lose on a mile and a half. Vegas, Charlotte, Kansas, you name the mile and a half, they won it outside of Texas and Atlanta. They had 8 wins that year, I think. They win the championship, and they had to duel Kyle Busch for it. And that is the flip of what happened this weekend. This weekend, we had a guy with a 17th place average finish fighting for the championship, and his teammate behind him, who would have been like 10th in the regular season standings, I think, or the full season standings. In 2017, it was number 1 versus number 2. It was the 2005 National Championship. Texas versus USC, but in the end, USC ends up winning. And Truex was the best guy all year, and he had to beat the second best guy that year. And Kyle Busch did not let him win it easily. Martin Truex Jr. had to fight his butt off, and he became a Cup Series champion. One of the most deserved championships in this format since it's existed. But Martin Truex Jr., the impact he's had on NASCAR, he's won with 4 different race teams. He's won with 2 different manufacturers, a number of different crew chiefs, Joe Gibbs Racing, Furniture Row, Michael Waltrip Racing, DEI. Martin Truex Jr. has had a massive impact on NASCAR. It's unfortunate to see him go, but as long as he's happy, I would say that we as a fan base should be happy. He always raced clean. He always raced fair. He never was, I guess, over the top or anything, did anything crazy outside of the car. So no crazy quotes other than win the damn war. But Martin Truex Jr. is a NASCAR legend. He's a future Hall of Famer. He's a Cup Series champion, and he will forever be we will forever be thankful to Truex for his impact on NASCAR, and I will always be thankful to Truex for his impact on NASCAR and his niceness to 10-year-old me. And yeah, it'll be fun to see him in the Daytona 500 next year. But Martin Truex Jr., his final race as a full-time Cup Series driver. It's going to be unfortunate to see him go. Those are big shoes to fill. Going a little bit down here. Kyle Busch's win streak's over. 20 straight years, or 19 straight years with a win. Incredible win streak. Obviously, this year was horrific for Kyle Busch, but yeah, I mean, that's a historic streak. It's a shame to see it go, for sure. I know Kyle Busch has a lot of haters, but it's crazy. I would not have predicted that this was going to be the year. If they had a fall off this year, and let's say they win the Southern 500, they win at Atlanta in the spring, then I might have predicted next year to be it, but I would not have predicted this year to be it. It's a shame that it's over. It's a shame that RCR was so bad this year and that the streak is over, but it's truly over. The win streak for Kyle Busch is over. First time in 19 years, or I guess 20 years now, that he does not have a win. Back to the comments. A lot of comments. Thank you guys for interacting. It's always helpful. And also, I appreciate it. You guys are ask incredible questions. That's not an exaggeration. Ty Majeski is awesome, man. Yeah, it's huge moment for Ty Majeski. Obviously, we know how good he is at these short tracks, and Phoenix races like a short track. And Thor Sport's great at Phoenix, too. We've seen Ben Rhodes win a couple championships at Phoenix. And Ty Majeski's a great driver. Of course, Corey Hyman, Christian Eckes. It's got to suck for him, especially Eckes. I think Eckes only had one race this year that he finished out at the top 10. Correct me if I'm wrong, but Eckes, that's got to be soul-crushing. But Ty Majeski did everything right this weekend. They dominated. Very happy for him. Really, very happy for him. It's a big deal for him. Thor Sport, everyone over there. But let's see here. G'day from Gingin. Apologies if I pronounced that wrong. Australia. First time watching every race this year on all the tracks across America. Loving this. Can't wait for next year. I find it better than supercars. Wow, says Tech. Tech, I appreciate you showing up and watching the videos, live streams, whatever it is. But I also appreciate you for watching NASCAR. I love when we have international viewers. Australia, New Zealand, France, England, Brazil. I had a comment this morning from Brazil. That's pretty cool if you ask me. I don't know, Chad, Mongolia, you name the country. I think it's really cool when we have viewers outside of the United States. I know we're based in the United States. The majority of our viewership is the United States, but it is so cool to see people who have a completely different perspective on racing, a completely different series, come over and see NASCAR that is very not like anything else and say, you know what, I like this, I enjoy it, so I appreciate it. I appreciate that you enjoy NASCAR. That's really cool if you ask me. Sean says, the people that make stick and ball comparisons almost annoy me more than the format. I got to agree with that statement. Can I heart this? I can pin it. Or I can put you in a timeout. We're going to do neither. But that is an incredible. If I hear about the stupid 18-0 Patriots one more time, I'm going to throw this pen because it's the stupidest comparison. Okay? When Zane Smith spun out yesterday, and that potentially, it ended up not, but it potentially, Dylan Lupton in 2016, if Dylan Lupton doesn't have that mechanical failure or whatever that shreds debris, Carl Edwards wins the championship. Well, that's like saying the 18-0 Patriots against the 9-7 Giants, but Tom Brady passes it to, I don't even know who was on the Patriots then, Edelman. Edelman's about to run him for a touchdown. Oh, and here comes Myles Garrett from the Browns. I know he wasn't playing then. Just go with it, okay? Myles Garrett from the Cleveland Browns, who are not even in the Super Bowl, drop kicks him in the face. He's out of the game for the rest of the. He's out of the game, and now the Giants win. That's what it's like. That's what this format's like. It's not comparable. Stop comparing it to baseball or football or basketball. NASCAR is none of those. It's a horrible comparison. It's always a horrible comparison. We are none of those sports. We should not try to be any of those sports because NASCAR is unique. NASCAR should lean on themselves. They should lean on that they are unique, that they are loved for being unique. They should stop, for the love of God, trying to be someone else. And people, please stop comparing us to other sports because that is not us. We enjoy being weird and unique. We enjoy our cars going in circles. We don't want to be basketball. We don't want to be baseball. I really thought I was going to get through this live stream without yelling. Well, that didn't happen. Sorry. My bad. Anyways. Oh, my goodness. Where was I? Okay, here we go. Best paint scheme all year wins the championship, giving designers more of a spot. Ooh, Cloudy 341 blade. That's not a bad idea. They should have a separate, vote on the best paint schemes. And let's be honest, it will eventually get diluted into drivers. But I think there should be an insider industry kind of vote where drivers, team members, the paint scheme designers all vote on who they think has the best paint scheme from the entire season. And they should get some sort of reward. They should get a trophy, maybe some cash. That is actually a brilliant idea, Cloudy 341 blade. I would love to see something like that to reward the designers of the paint schemes because there are some epic paint schemes and the designers are not recognized enough, if you ask me. So that would be really cool. The championship is clinched before the last race. Then what's the point of watching the rest of the races? To see if there's an upset winner, to see who wins the races, obviously. There's still money to be had for the teams. There's still trophies to be handed out. But if you're a fan, Max Verstappen's going to clinch the championship at Vegas next week. Or if not, Max Verstappen essentially has it locked up. Max Verstappen clinched it with 6 to go last year, but I still watched every race because I wanted to see who's going to take down Red Bull. This year, the excuse is, who's going to win the race? Ferrari, McLaren, Red Bull with Max all have a shot at the win. And Mercedes, when they show up, they have a shot at the win. I'm very intrigued and interested to see who's going to win the race, to see how it's going to play out. Plus, we have a schedule for a reason. If the race ends at Homestead, Miami, and we only go to Homestead once, those fans bought tickets way in advance. And we're not going to have that race because the championship's over and all those fans get screwed, all those fans who live in the Miami area. No. Come on. We got to have the races. Game 7s aren't guaranteed in other sports, while the current format forces them. Yeah, I've yelled about that before, but basically, look at the World Series this year. It ended in 5 games. The NBA Finals ended in 5 games. You can't force it. I was there when Kenseth wrapped up that championship. What I'm trying to make you understand is that NASCAR didn't like it. They wanted a bigger challenge. It had nothing to do with Kenseth. Yeah, it was, I get what you're saying, that it wasn't Kenseth himself, but it was the way he did it. It was kind of boring. He only won a single race. He didn't go and kill the field, win 13 races like Gordon did in 98. Gordon, when he did that, it was like, oh my God, you can win that many races in a single season? But when Kenseth did it, was like, oh, he seriously just won one race? And he won it all? What? But I don't know, man. I don't know. I still don't know why NASCAR didn't penalize Chase, considering he said on the radio he would block. Yeah, looking back on that, that was race manipulation by Chase Elliott. The motivating factor there, though, was revenge. It wasn't literal, like, oh, it's a Chevy thing or a Hendrick thing. I think in his mind it was a revenge thing, but yes, that was race manipulation. Here's a much fairer format. Win and you're in remains for the first 26 races, but the final 10, it should be strictly by points. Give me today, exclamation point tech. That's better for sure, I would argue, because you don't get the Logano miracle run. He won 3 races in the playoffs, but points-wise, he would not have been close. I mean, because outside of those wins, the results are still bad, so he would not have won it. I think it would have been Byron or Bell. So I get what you're saying. That's better, but I still don't like it. Cloudy 341, but I don't think that Burton's win was controversial. If you're a Chevy fan, if you're a part of Chevy, it might be controversial, but no one's going to look back and remember Parker Retzlaff's pushing Harrison Burton and getting yelled at by Chevy. I don't think anyone's going to remember that. Martin Truex Jr. never won the Brickyard or the Daytona. Well, he still got one more chance at Daytona at least. 2017, MTJ had a godly amount of stage wins, and the biggest help was Toyota. Yeah, he had like 20 stage wins that year. That was crazy. Tech says, love watching SVG growing into the sport and like Joey Logano and coming as Bubba Wallace. Yeah, it's been cool to watch SVG's progress this year, and he's going to have a chance at more progress next year, but we'll touch on that in a later video. We'll do some sort of season recap. I haven't decided if it's going to be a live stream or a video, but at some point we'll go through and talk about his year. Which team do you think will have the biggest expectations? For me, I saw Bubba having Charles on the box will be a good move considering what he did for Eckes. I mean, define biggest expectations, because that can be from Christopher Bell should win the championship next year, and that can be, a Rick Ware racing car get 5 top 20s. Like, there's a wide range to define expectations, I guess. Cloudy 341, Blade is nervous that Denny Hamlin might retire because FedEx is leaving, and what he said on the Dale Jr. podcast that he will probably retire when FedEx leaves. I missed that. That would be crazy. In Supercars, we hardly know who runs the whole Supercars operation apart from Liberty owning 25% of the series. But NASCAR is thinking that I know more about corporate mob. It's family owned. Not sure what you mean outside of that, though. Denver. I think that was Denver that said that. Man, I miss Carl Edwards. Why did NASCAR... Yeah, 2016. Even more controversy with this format. Yay. Everyone's coming up with new format ideas. Let's just ditch the playoffs entirely and just do a full point season. Keep stage points, no playoff points, and do bonus points for leading laps. Micah, that is my burner. Micah has hacked into my burner and typed that. Or I have hacked into Micah's account and made it my burner. Because that's literally what I would do. I'm not even kidding. Keep the stages, get rid of the stage cautions, but keep the stages because it awards consistency. You get 1 bonus point for leading a lap. You get 5 for leading the most laps. Maybe 3. 1 or 5. Or 3 or 5 for leading the most. Because I think that is a statistic that is overlooked. But maybe that's just me. Speaking of, we're going to look at a graphic here in a minute, looking at the season stats. My neighbors are getting concerned why I'm yelling so loud. Yeah, they're going to be like, shut up about the NASCAR playoffs. You've already yelled about this 20 times. I'll never stop yelling about the NASCAR playoffs. If I get arrested for yelling about the NASCAR playoffs, I will argue to the court. I'll make my argument that the playoffs suck. I'll gladly accept the charges as long as the court agrees that the playoffs suck. I think they're actually going to change up Logano. I did see they are changing up Logano. I took a shot at Logano's Pennzoil scheme yesterday, and people got mad about it. But come on, look at their paint scheme from 2013 to 2021 and compare it to the current one. Come on, the 2013 to 2021 one, that was iconic. The Penske scallops on the side, the red and the yellow looked amazing. Now it's just yellow. It's boring. I'm sorry. I didn't realize so many people would get offended by it. It was like 4 people. But oh my goodness. Like some of the first comments I got was, "Oh my God, how dare you?" And it's like, I didn't realize people were so defensive about that paint scheme. Oh, excuse me. Good grief. But yeah, the Pennzoil scheme's different next year. Thank God they added some red back to it. I can't remember what it looks like. I'll have to Google it. But, woof. Man, some people got really offended by that yesterday. Winning in a full season points format is actually difficult. You have to put together. Micah, the counter argument to that would be winning in this format is also extremely difficult because you can't have error in the last 10 races. But I still don't like it. I don't know why I keep trying to argue for this format, like giving a counter argument to good arguments. I just got to stop trying, man. Where does the money that NASCAR collects from penalties go? Correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe it goes to charity. Like I think the NASCAR Foundation or the NASCAR charity, I believe that the fines all go to that. I could be wrong, but I think that's where the fines go. I am a chair. Where's LaJoy in points? Says Still Joe. Good question. Let's go back to our lasts. Daniel Hemrick's last race with Colleague. Unknown what he's going to do next year, but there are rumors that he will be in the 19 truck. Another Stewart-Haas Racing's last race. Josh Berry's last race with Stewart-Haas before he goes to the Wood Brothers. Derek Krause's last race with Colleague, I guess, in the Cup Series. Right? Yeah, Ty Dillon's in the Cup car next year. Jimmy Johnson's last race of the year, but he's expected to be back in 2025. He's going to be there next year, Justin Haley. Last race for the 14 car at Stewart-Haas Racing, obviously the 14 and the 4, the 2 most successful numbers. Michael McDowell's last race with Front Row Motorsports. This is one I want to talk about a little bit longer. Excuse me. Michael McDowell in Front Row. They ended up doing a lot of things together that were special. They won a Daytona 500 together, and Michael McDowell was a critical piece in turning that team around. Remember, this team used to be a backmarker. This team, for the most part of its lifetime, it's been a mid-pack team, I would say, but the only places they could win have been super speedways. Before McDowell, not even road courses. It was just super speedways. David Reagan won there in 2013 with him. I know Chris Buescher won at Pocono in 2016, but they needed some help from the fog, but it's still a win. But Michael McDowell turned this team around. He is one of the, once again, critical reasons, the critical points that this team turned around. It is now going to be a 3-car operation and Tier 1 status with Ford. The Daytona 500 win in 2021. 2023, winning at the Indianapolis road course and running top 16 in the points. That was a very big deal for them to win a non-super speedway and also to, I would say, make the playoffs on merit. That was a really big deal for that team and for Michael McDowell to be leading the charge. And this year, McDowell, I'll admit, it was a rough year. They had a lot of DNFs. They really should have finished better in the points, but Todd Gilliland excelled this year. We really saw it. McDowell may have not had the prettiest year, but Todd Gilliland was fantastic. Competing for wins at the super speedways, getting a few top 10s at intermediate tracks. Todd Gilliland was really good this year. And I'm hoping that he can continue that into 2025 because I think they could make the playoffs. I really do. If that Tier 1 status shows up, if Todd Gilliland, if Ryan Bergenti, once again, I'm pronouncing that wrong, but if they can show up like they did at times this year and they can put a season together, they can make the playoffs on points if there's not more than 16 winners. That's a really solid team, and that's a team that's now been together for 3 years. I think they could do something. They got Noah Gragson coming in. Zane Smith is expected to be the third driver. It's a decent team right there. They may not pop off next year and win 4 or 5 races, but I think they could win 1, maybe even 2. But it's all been a big part because of Michael McDowell. That's the whole point of me going on the side tangent about Front Row, is that Michael McDowell has been a massive impact on that team. Maybe LaJoie's last race at Rick Ware. Maybe. We don't know. We'll figure it out at some point. Stenhouse, Kroger's last race at JTG Doherty, similar to the Hamlin situation, but not similar at the same time. It has not been formally announced, but it is expected that Kroger's going to leave to go fund RFK, a third RFK car with Ryan Preece. There's going to be some ownership shakeup at JTG Doherty. Doherty's still going to be there, and I think Gordon is still going to be there. I think it's the JT part that's leaving. Correct me if I'm wrong. But Stenhouse will still be there. They'll have to find a new sponsor. They'll still be the 47. Brad Doherty will still be there, as I said. But, yeah, that's a long-time partnership, Kroger and JTG, even when the 37 car was the thing. Don't know what his status is. No idea what these two teams, not just the drivers, the team statuses are. I don't know. Ryan Preece, his last race with Stewart-Haas Racing, as I said just a minute ago, expected that he's going to go to RFK, as I'm getting a warning here about internet connection. Well, that's lovely. Sorry, something shiny. His last race was Stewart-Haas Racing. He had that pole at Martinsville that one time and led a bunch of laps. That was cool. But yeah, last race for the 41 car. It won a Daytona 500. It was the last ever winner at Kentucky with Cole Custer. Never forget. Kentucky 2020. Jeb Burton. This is so random. Middle of the week add to the entry list for the Team America or whatever it was called car. Not the money team, but the Amera team, or I don't even know what they're called. Just randomly showed up, failed inspection 4 times, had to come do a pass-through and a stop-and-go, all in one. Back markers are truly back, baby. That's all I'll say. Zane Smith, his last race with Spire, of course, he got released from his Chevrolet and Trackhouse contract in the summer after it was expected that SVG would take the third Trackhouse car. I tell you what about Zane Smith. Zane Smith, they had a horrible start to the year. The first third of the year, they were straight up bad. Speed was not there. They kept on crashing, having mechanical failures. They turned up for the second half, second 2/3 of the season. Top 10s, even a top 5 in there. Almost won at Kentucky. Or not Kentucky, Nashville. Zane Smith was very solid. He was very consistent. Consistently top 15 to top 20 the second half of this year. If we separate the seasons, he actually had a really good second half of the year. First half of the year was bad. No other way. But the second half of the year, they were very solid. And Ty Gibbs. Yeah, man. Okay. Announcement time. On Sunday, we will do the yearly tradition of making fun of me, where we go back in time to February. We get in a time machine, we press a button, and we go back in time and we watch my preseason preview and predictions. We talk about the biggest storylines. Did they end up being the biggest storylines? And then we look at my predictions. And everyone in the comments laughs about how bad I am at predicting NASCAR. I've only gotten the champion right once in the preseason since making this channel. I did not get it correct this year. It was stolen from me, by the way. Kidding. But that will be next Sunday, or this upcoming Sunday, the 17th, I believe. I don't know what time. I'll probably make it in the afternoon or evening. I haven't decided which yet, but Sunday night, Sunday afternoon, whenever the race was supposed to be, that's not there. But yeah, show up Sunday night to laugh at me and my terrible predictions is what I'm saying. We will be on a live stream similar to this. I will have the video up. We'll laugh at how I looked in February. Then we'll laugh at my bad predictions. It'll be fun. I always have a good time. Like, I'm serious. I genuinely enjoy being wrong. Like, I think it's funny when I predict, like if I put Ty Gibbs in the Final Four, like that would be really funny. I can't even remember my preseason Final Four. Bell was my champion. I have it written down somewhere. I'm not going to spoil it. No, I will not spoil it. I will laugh at the other three, or going 0 for 4 in the championship 4. I think I had Logano, though. I think I had even-yeared Logano simply because it was an even year. So I think I went 1 of 4. At least 1 of 4. Okay. All right. I'll shut up now. Okay, yeah. LaJoy and the points. Okay. Point standings. Yeah, that's the whole reason I rushed through the end of that. Corey LaJoy was 33rd. There's his stats. Get a good look at him. Did NASCAR do a post-race inspection on the 22 for possible cheating? He passed inspection, Alan. Hate to break it to you. Unless you're a Logano fan, then I love to break it to you. Is that the right way to put it? Apologies if that isn't. And that's weird. Then sorry. English language is hard. Ever since June, I've come to the podcast and well, I appreciate your support. Give me today! !Tech. I appreciate you showing up every week, asking questions. I know I missed some, and I apologize. Sometimes the chat's really fast, but and not just you, but everyone who shows up to these things every week, and we just blab about NASCAR. I mean, it's pretty simple. We look at the point standings. We look at the race results. We look at an entry list. We don't have one this week, and that makes me sad. I'm going to cry myself to sleep now. But I've enjoyed it. I want to keep doing live streams this offseason. I don't know if it's going to be on Monday, but I've got 2 planned right now. We just talked about the make fun of me one. I want to do a live stream for the Adelaide 500. I just got to figure out how it works because there's 2 races. So my question to the Supercars fans, for the Adelaide 500, if I do a live stream watch along, firstly, I cannot show it on here, so it's just going to be like this. I'll show the live results of the race, but I can't show it because of legal reasons. My question is, do I watch race 1 with you guys, or do I watch race 2? Which one is a bigger deal, is what I'm saying. Which one is like the Adelaide 500, or are they both the Adelaide 500? Someone's got to explain it to me. And also, what time does it start? Because I see like 3 different answers on the Supercars website, and I don't know what time it is. Because if you can just lock in what time it is in Australia, I can convert that to the U.S. time, and I'll be good. If I got to wake up at 3 a.m., I will be up at 3 a.m. watching this race with you guys. I want to watch a Supercar race with you guys. You have been so supportive of me this year, and I refuse to not watch a Supercars race. I refuse to not watch a Point being, I will watch a Supercars race with you guys, and I will enjoy it. I just got to figure out which one is the Adelaide 500. I also have to figure out what time it is. All right. So, yeah, I just got to figure out which one is the Adelaide 500. If they're both the Adelaide 500, like, I got to figure it out. Kentucky Speedway, if they ever come back, if they want, says Javier. Next Gen's been great on the intermediates, but Kentucky, I don't know. We'll see. Biggest storyline this year was by far NASCAR getting sued. Oh, yeah. I can guarantee you that was not in my preseason predictions. I would not have predicted that the charter negotiations would fall through and that Michael freaking Jordan would be suing NASCAR. I'm once again going to mention it. I mention it a lot, I know. But I also would not have predicted that I stood next to Michael Jordan this year because that was really cool. It makes for a great story at family gatherings. It really does. It's hard to top that one. It's nice to have a cool story. Can't wait this Saturday and Sunday, Adelaide 5. Okay, so it's both days. It's both races. Both races are the Adelaide 500 from Denver is what I'm picking up on. Gloves are off between teammates. The boss of Triple Eight said they are free to race each other very hard. I guess am I doing both of them? If there's 2 races, sure, we will do both of them. I just got to figure it out. How do you think Chase Briscoe is going to do in the 19? I think he's going to win a few races, potentially a deep playoff run. It's a good question because we've seen a lot of mixed results with teams or a driver switching teams. Obviously, Kevin Harvick winning a championship in his first year with Stewart-Haas after switching from RCR. Kyle Busch, his first year with RCR, winning 3 races. Kyle Larson winning the championship his first year with Hendrick. I'm trying to think of the bad ones. I'm suddenly lost. I'm trying to think of the biggest free agents recently. Anyways, I think he's for sure going to win a race. I think Chase Briscoe in a Joe Gibbs racing car, that is a force to be reckoned with. Deep playoff run, I could see him making the round of 8. I'm not going to sit here today and tell you he's going to make the final 4, but we know how good Gibbs is at the 1.5 miles. Briscoe, the 1.5 miles have never been his thing, just looking at his results. But you look at Darlington, Briscoe has always excelled at drivers' racetracks. Darlington, Bristol, I think he's done well at. And then Joe Gibbs Racing at Martinsville is always good. I think Briscoe could show up and be good there. So Phoenix, so I think for sure they could win a race. I just don't know how deep of a run they could make or what's their peak essentially. What is it? What's the highest? What's the best that they can do? Monday pick. Oh man. No, give me today, ! Tech. The Monday pick would be the Clash. Don't skip over the Clash. Don't forget about the Clash. Don't skip it. I'm less and less confident about 2311 and FRM winning this lawsuit because what they are saying is true, but somehow NASCAR always has a way to make themselves the victim. Says Cloudy 341 Blade. Dude, I do not know anything about law. I'm not even going to try to predict the outcome of the lawsuit because I genuinely don't know. I'm clueless. They lost the preliminary injunction, which I guess is a bad sign. But once again, I don't know. I know nothing about law. New challenge for me next year. Do a live stream of the 24 hours of Le Mans. If you pay me a good amount of money, sure. I'll do it. Yeah. I can't guarantee it. That's next June. They don't. Yeah, I mean, Patty, what you're saying, yeah, for Truex, they can just give an open car. Just say, hey, man, it's a one-off. It's one race that you want to do this year. Or if you want to do 4 or 5, we have an open car that we can do. Go for it. But if that's like a chartered car with rotating drivers, then, well, that's where it gets complicated. Sean says race number 2 is the last of the year. I see a bunch of comments on the timing of the Adelaide 500, which I will read here in a minute. And I'll start Googling on my phone how to get U.S. time. Okay. Am I excited for Christmas and fall? He's just skipped over Thanksgiving. But yeah, I like colder weather. It's been a little warm here. But we're under 80 now here in Texas, which is nice, which I appreciate. But it's a bit warm for almost mid-November. But hey, I'm happy. It's not hot anymore. I can't complain. I was complaining all of October because we were still in the 80s. So I'm not going to complain anymore. Rip Bobby Allison. Yes, tragic news hit this weekend that Bobby Allison had popped away. Obviously, Bobby Allison, a champion. just recently got promoted to 4th on the all-time wins list. 85 wins, I think, sits alone, or 84. I can't remember. You got to correct me if I'm wrong there. Once again, I apologize. But obviously had a massive impact on the sport, a massive impact on NASCAR, a legend in NASCAR, a part of some of the older days of NASCAR. But obviously tragic that he died, tragic that he passed away. But it was really cool to see all the tributes to him, to see all the stories of people saying like, I worked for him in this time, or I got to meet him this one time, or I got to see him race. Like, just really cool to see all the stories about Bobby Allison. But obviously still sad, still tragic that he passed away. So Adelaide race 1 is 3:20 p.m. and 3:15 Adelaide time. Okay, all right. Time to do some math here, baby. We got the clock app pulled up. World clock. Adelaide, Australia. It's currently 10:43 a.m. in Adelaide. It's 6:13 here. So that's 6 plus 2. That's a negative 8 hours. That's 8 hours backwards. So that 3:20 would be 11:20, I think, here. Right? Am I doing this right? All right. So 3:20 p.m. is the race. Currently, it's 10:44 at Adelaide. It's 6:14 here. Oh, God. Oh, this is even worse. There's a half-hour difference. There's another half hour. Oh, my goodness. Oh, it tells me. Plus 16 and a half hours. Oh, well, that's nice. So what would that be? Plus 6. Wait, plus 16. Guys, this is what happens when I have to do too much math. Someone else is going to have to convert this for me. I'm losing my mind here. Okay. So 10:44. In 16 minutes, it will be 11 o'clock in Adelaide. It'll be 6:30 here. So that's 1 plus 7. That's 7.5 hours, right? 7.5 hours backwards. So that would be 7, 10, 10:50, I think, would be the start time here. I think I'm doing that right. That's actually a manageable time for me. Cool. I thought this was going to be like a 3 a.m. thing, but all right, yeah. No, I'm in. I'm all in. We're doing it. We're doing them both. Awesome. We'll do both Adelaide races, live stream. And then we'll do a Sunday thing where we laugh at me and my terrible preseason predictions. But yes, I will be watching the Adelaide 500 with you here on the YouTube. I mean, I'll be watching it on a screen up here, but you got to find your own screen because legally, I don't think I can show it. What a tough year for Kyle Busch and the 8 team. Tied his career low 20th place in points, came in his rookie season, and his win streak has come to an end. Yeah, we kind of talked about it, but horrendous year. To not win a race, I would have never guessed that this would be the year that he didn't make the playoffs and didn't win a race after how good they were last year. I know they fell off at the tail end of the year and all that, but I would have never guessed that would have continued. And they had that streak where they got really close, like Michigan, they had speed. Daytona, they got really close. Darlington, they got really close. Atlanta, they got somewhat close. But, yeah, really bad year for Kyle Busch and that team. Which car do you like better, the next-gen Ford or the next-gen Toyota? I don't know. That's a good question. I guess the Ford just won the championship, so maybe them. Who's going to watch the class because it's going to be a wreck fest just like Daytona, LA. Speaking of, okay, I knew this was going to be extended. We can go another 10 minutes or so. But let's make our Monday picks. Everyone make your Monday picks. Who wins the 2025 Clash at the Bowman Gray? Who wins it? Let's hear it. Let's hear these predictions. Who wins the Clash at the Bowman Gray? I keep on wanting to say the Clash at the Coliseum, but that's not it. So, Going through comments. Do you think Riley is going to have a seat in Cup next year? I mean, that's what everyone thinks. But if they don't have a charter, why would they open a third team? That's what I'm so confused about. Apparently, they've already been like hiring people for a third team, so I guess it's going to happen. But if they don't have the charter, they're not going to get the money. Like, I know that Michael Jordan is loaded. Like, that's not a secret. The guy is worth billions of dollars, but at what point is too much for him, I guess? And Denny Hamlin has a lot of money too, but I mean, we all know what Michael Jordan's worth, so I don't know. It's a really good question, but I guess that's one of the things we got to figure out in the off season. I'm going to miss Rick Allen. Yes, Rick Allen. They did kind of a send-off to him in the booth as if he was leaving, but it seemed like it wasn't just like a he's leaving NBC. It seemed like a he's leaving forever. Rick Allen was always overhated, in my opinion. He had some amazing calls, some iconic calls. That championship call from 2016 with Jimmy Johnson, that's like top 5 all time, if you ask me. Yes, he made mistakes every once in a while, but when he was on his game, he was top tier. He had some amazing calls, some iconic calls. Rick Allen always did a great job in the booth, if you ask me. So I'm going to miss him. I know a lot of people are going to miss him, but Rick Allen will be leaving at least the NBC booth, but we just got to figure out everything else in terms of the booths. That's another thing this offseason we got to figure out. We got to figure out, is 2311 going to expand? Who's in the third front row car? What else? Who's going to be the crew chief of the 6? Is Priest actually going to the third RFK car? And then we got to figure out who's in the booth for Amazon. Who's in the booth for TNT outside of Dale Jr.? Got a lot of questions to answer this offseason. RCR might have a rebound considering... Oh, that's another thing this offseason. Was there actually a scandal? Was there actually a Spygate kind of thing? Man, this offseason is actually kind of getting me excited. Like, what's going to happen? There's so much that could happen. It's going to be like nothing for 2 months, and then it's just going to be a news dump in like 1 week. All right, but seriously, Monday picks for the Clash. I don't know who's eligible. I think everyone's eligible, right? Am I right? Like, all 40 cars show up to the Clash, right? Or all the chartered teams? I could be wrong. I don't know. Tow Truck says Cloudy 341 Blade. Cloudy 341 Blade. Second pick is Garbage Cans. Icy says Bowman. Patty says Kyle Busch. Get Me Today. Tech asks if I will continue to cover Xfinity on a weekly basis. Solid question. TBD. We got to figure that out. We got the offseason figured out, so I don't know yet. The chat has disconnected. What? What do you mean it's disconnected? Oh, successfully connected. Well, that's nice. Who's going to be the crew chief of the third call? I don't know. Matt McCall's available. Maybe him. Sean says SVG or Larson. David says Kyle Busch. Looks like the race on Saturday is going to be very wet in Adelaide. A wet race, this and supercars in the rain. And the nature of Adelaide streets is going to be epic. Question for the supercars fans. Is this Adelaide track, is it the same track that F1 used to run at in the 90s? Or is it different? Just curious. Just curious. Curiosity. Austin Dillon is Get Me Today! Exclamation point text pick. Honestly, with how good they run at Richmond, you never know. Sean says yes, but smaller. Okay, well, that's cool. I mean, I don't know that track well, so I'm not going to sit here and pretend I do. But, you know, everyone's watched the highlights of 1994 in F1. Controversy. Diffie is the best. Sean, I love Lee Diffie. He did a great job this year. So I hope NBC keeps him full time because I thought he did a great job, like you said. All right. F1, no championship four. It's better than NASCAR, says David. I agree. We should have a full season format, but no. No, it's not, says NASCAR. Who's ready for full speed season 2? Gotta be honest, there's been so much going on, I forgot that was the thing. With the lawsuit and the controversy at Martinsville and Joey Logano winning the championship with a 17th place average fin. Okay, let's go through some statistics here. In fact, okay, first of all, I'm going to give you about 2 minutes to stare at these statistics with Joey Logano compared to everyone else in the top 10 in points. Get yourself a good look at it. Everyone stare at it because I'm about to make it go blank, and then I'm going to go pull up some statistics from the 2024 season. And I'm reading comments over here, by the way, for now. Or keep staring. Truck Series needs to have an 8-truck playoff, not 10. Yeah, the 10, it's confusing. You eliminate 2 versus 4 in the first round. It's confusing. Either go to 8, straight to 8, or 12. Make up your minds. Everyone got a good look? Everyone see that Joey Logano has less top 10s than Bell and Larson have top 5s? Everyone sees that? Cool. All right. Now to the statistics I want to show you of the 2024 season. Trey Ryan is like an insane stat guy. Like, I mean that in a nice way. But his stats that he posts every week, like, just blow me away every single time. It's insane. Like, he just posted laps led by team 5 hours ago. But here, all right, these comments are actually tame. So, but look at this. Look at the, oh no, don't do that. Okay. There you go. You got to hear me struggling with technology. Look at these stats from this year. Is that just not the most mind-blowing thing? Just absorb the information. Absorb who has the most wins, the most top 5s, the most top 10s, the consecutive top 10s, laps led, races with the most laps led, stage points, races finished, best driver rating, average running position. That's a very important one, by the way, if you ask me. I always feel that laps led and average running position, those are the 2 most underrated stats. That's just my opinion, though. Just look at, you can see them all up there, right? Yeah, you can. Okay, cool. But let me know, what is the most mind-blowing stat out of all of these? I've got mine. But I want to hear what yours. What is the most mind-blowing statistic out of all these from the 2024 season? Flop Jovi, that's a cool name. Pick is Chase Elliott. Sheldon Creed picks Sheldon Creed fan 18. Apologies, not Sheldon Creed himself, though. If it was, that would be pretty cool. Picks SVG. 1994, Schumacher and Damon Hill. Yeah. Yes, the 1994 Australian Grand Prix. Ugh. Cloudy 341 Blade, you and I have the same mind-blowing stat looking at this sheet. It's that Joey Logano is only in one single thing on this stat sheet, and it's this. He didn't have the most wins. He did not have the most second places, podiums, top 5s, top 10s, top 15s, 11 to 15s, top 20s, average finish, average start, poles. He did not lead any statistical category. But he still gets this huge, bold thing that says champion. Just mind-blowing. That's my deep-seated hatred towards the playoffs. So that's probably why I find it so mind-blowing. If you want to go second, I'm going to go with this one. I'm a little bit blown away by it. But Hemrick, this is why Hemrick was signed. Daniel Hemrick's a clean driver. He doesn't crash a lot. He doesn't usually have mechanical failures. He finishes races. He might finish 9th. He might finish 18th. He might finish 27th. But he finishes the races. This stat, a little bit mind-blowing, but not too But anyone else? Anyone else blown away by any of these stats? Another one, I'd say Hocevar finishing 34 races. Because not that he's like a dirty driver or a bad driver, but he's aggressive. He's kind of like Larson, where sometimes he'll drive over his head and he'll end his day. But good for him. Good for him. Average percent laps is the fastest car. Christopher Bell, yeah. I would have guessed if you any category being led, I would have guessed as Larson or Bell this year. They were the two best by far. Larson would have won in the full season format in the current point system. Bell would have won the Winston Cup in the Winston Cup point system. So they were, I mean, just look how many times you see them. Most wins, Larson. Most top fives, Larson and Bell. Most top tens, Bell. Most laps led, most races led, Larson. Races with the most laps led, Bell. Stage wins, Larson. Stage points, Larson. Larson, Bell. I mean, those two were pretty much the two best all year. But we need a new stat. Best even years, Logano. That's what I want to see. I want to see Joey Logano's even years compared to Joey Logano's odd years since the invention of this format and just show it all. I just think that would be hilarious. As a Denny fan, it hurts. He would have no championship in either format. Yeah, it's unfortunate for him. Sorry, Cloudy 341 Blade. Well, I think that's going to be it for me. I've had a great time this season. I'm serious. I appreciate everyone's support, everyone tuning in to not just these live streams of videos. This year has been an insane year for the channel. The support has been just, once again, insane. I appreciate you all. I'm glad you guys show up to these things, show up to the videos, share your opinions, share your questions, because you guys are quite intelligent. Great questions, great comments. I always laugh reading my comments. I know I'm bad at responding, but I do read through probably at least 80% of them. But the channel's grown a bunch. I appreciate everyone who watches. Marty, David, Still Joe, Denver, Cloudy 341 Blade, Flop Jovi, Sheldon Creed Fan 18, everyone who shows up in the future, the past. Very appreciative to you all. I will continue to do live streams in the off season. As I said, Adelaide 500, we will be here. This spot. Just got to figure out the time conversion. I'll figure it out. I got a week to figure it out. Then we'll do our annual Laugh at Me live stream. Staff of Matteo NZ. Appreciate you too. But yeah, I appreciate everyone. We'll do live streams. We'll continue to do news videos and whatnot. But thank you again. Thank you for the support. It's been a great season, and looking forward to the rest of the calendar year, I guess.